something that is very real to us currently is that we are seeing this AI tools entering the classrooms and entering educational settings. And when we see this being very present, a concern that we shared together with Rachel as well as the team at World Education in Rinmoy, we started thinking about how might we effectively evaluate some of these AI-powered tools, and what are some of the key considerations and questions we should ask ourselves when making these decisions on which AI tool you should go for. So just to briefly explain, today we're going to cover several parts. So first of all, we're not going to have an introduction slide on what AI is, what is generative AI, what are some of these tools. We assume that most of the people that are already on the call are quite familiar and use some of this technology. First, we're going to go into some of the clear benefits and risks surrounding using AI in education. We're going to try to visually show you the problem that exists around some of these tools and how they are penetrating the market. Then we're going to go into the second part, which is we're going to talk a little bit more about what was this EdTech evaluation tool before and how did me and Rinmoy together with the World Education team redesign and improve on it. And we're going to share actually the two main tools that we built. One is a scoring rubric and the other one is an AI integration framework. And we're also going to talk a little bit more about the limitations that surround these tools. And last but not least, if we have time, we're going to do a short Q&A session. And after that, we're also going to have a breakout room. So first, before we do that, we actually wanted to do a short temperature check. We would like to situate ourselves and figure out who's in the audience and what are you thinking about AI. So if you could please join this Mentimeter. So you can either scan the QR code or you can go to menti.com and enter the code.
And Ebony has also put it in the chat, so you can just click the link in the chat too.
So we're going to give you a couple of seconds to enter the Mentimeter.
And you guys can continue to join. First question is about your role. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to also highlight, we would like to make this as engaging as possible. So if you also have questions during the presentation, feel free to engage in the chat and just drop any questions and we'll try to answer them as we go. Okay, so we have Charlotte, nonprofit. Thank you for pointing that. And then we actually have the sector in which you're working in. Oh, lots of folks from nonprofit, adult education. Okay. We have one brave person from government joining us. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we would actually like to hear what is a really cool or innovative use of generative AI you've encountered. This might be particularly to your job, as a trainer or as a professional, or it might be just something that really amazed you. So, yeah, we'll give you a couple of minutes to answer. And this might be a particular tool like Amigo or ChatGPT, where it might be a use case like, oh, I managed to get, Socrates to provide feedback on my essay or something like that.
Recipes is a good one. Summarized a book.
Oh, I see someone's using AI slides. That's cool. Birthday cards. Interesting.
Wow. Lots of innovative uses.
We have some people that are into Dungeons and Dragons and developing NPCs. That's really cool. Uh,
Right.
Recommendation letters, proposal writing.
Fascinating.
Interesting. Wow. So many diverse use cases. And now we'd also like to hear about a humorous or unexpected challenge that you faced using generative AI in your work. Um, this might be like an anecdote that you might want to share, or something that you were really surprised by in terms of the level of difficulty or challenge in like learning or mastering these tools.
I can't type in, so I'll just say one of my humorous ones was when someone in our training Camp GPT unveiled that AI is biased toward New York style pizza instead of Chicago style. That was one of their experimentations. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's super funny. Um, yeah,
Vanilla.
the
Yeah.
prop
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no. There was one that spoke about the fingers in pictures. So that's been an issue with uh, Gen AI like image generator tools for quite a while now. Um, oh wow. Okay. Super cool. Okay. Thank you everyone for sharing, and I'll share the screen back. Um, so yeah, as we can see, many of you have already used some of these tools, and you've you've probably used them for a while now, and you already have an in-depth knowledge of them. But just to provide a general overview, so this is a slide from the Teach AI Guidance for Schools Toolkit, and it's a really clear visual, and that's why I really like it. It kind of outlines the potential benefits as well as the risk of using this technology in education. And just as an example, so some of the benefits include, the opportunity of rapidly using these large language models to create personalized learning assistant, creating lesson plans for your users, creating assessment levels at different levels of difficulty in a very rapid manner, as well as when we look on the administrative aspect, it offers a lot of opportunities in saving time, whether it's, from creating media like videos or presentations or creating spreadsheets or automating certain tasks. Um, However, the technology also comes with its own risks. And one of the main concerns in education is connected to plagiarism and academic integrity. We also see a lot of over reliance on the output that some of these tools provide. So there's obviously a lack of AI literacy, and perhaps we need to improve or put more emphasis on critical thinking and critical reasoning when evaluating some of the outputs that these technologies give us. And also, one of the risks is, the training data sets that these tools are trained on are essentially full of different societal biases. And by using some of these tools, we carry the risk of perpetuating some of these inequities. Um, Being more specific in terms of adult education, we can give three very short examples. So for teachers and trainers, a really cool example that I heard from the UK is they're training first responders in emergency situations using Conv AI. So Conv AI is a tool which allows you to create virtual avatars, and you can pre-train these avatars to have a certain personality, and then you can also add a framework behind this. So they're training these first responders in conversation, or like how do you react to different types of emergencies, and they're creating simulations with these conversational agents where actually they're training these new recruits to be able to handle stress and to react in the moment. So it's a really interesting shift of than what it would be normally, which is probably you would give a textbook to some of these trainees. And then in terms of learners, we see a lot of uh, openness when it comes to individually learning or going through difficult concepts. So we see a lot of learners going to ChatGPT by themselves and trying to understand concepts on, independently. And this is really powerful if you can combine it as a part of the of your learning design in adult education as well. And then for administrators, we see so from some of the conversations that I've had here at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, we actually see them using them for, spreadsheets. We see them using them for web page development. We see them using them for social media posts. Like these are the tasks that would take a long time and they kind of take away from your focus of being there for students. So they're trying to automate and optimize using Gen AI. So going back to some of the engagement, and we would love to hear from you. Have you ever purchased or have you ever subscribed to a Gen AI tool? And if you have, we would like to know in the chat what was, how did you make this decision? What made you choose one tool rather than the other? What was your decision matrix, or perhaps like the two key things that you were thinking about? Okay. Charlotte has tried Canamigo. Mm-hmm. Oh, Ian has done testing and comparing results among free versions. That's really interesting. And we have Roman who's tried a couple of different tools, including Midjourney, Perplexity, Claude. Um, so I see most people are sticking to the, trying multiple tools, comparing between them, and seeing what does the job best for you. Um, okay. Copilot, Claude. Interesting. Okay. Um, it's interesting that many of the people in the chat have actually purchased and subscribed to a tool. Um, and so if we, okay, so I wanted to show, so this is a website called There's an AI for That. And so this website serves as an aggregator to all of the AI tools that exist in the market. And these are not education specific. Uh, they are, as you can see, we have over 12,000 AIs. Um, and uh, when we defined the problem, we were kind of thinking there are already 12,000 AIs. In the near future, in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to have at least 3 times this, right? Because more startups are going to come to the market, more companies are going to try to segment themselves and, differentiates themselves. Um, so the question becomes, what are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves as consumers when we're purchasing these tools, rather than experimenting with all of these tools and trying to figure out and comparing them that way. And just to show you like a little bit more visually of what is the state in terms of generative AI or AI in education. And I'll leave this slide for a bit. And I think Ebony is also going to share the link in the chat. So this is a compilation by Lawrence Holt and Jacob Klein, and they looked at several different AI tools for education, and they tried grouping them in different buckets. So from teaching advisors to ESL student content to social tools that are more targeted towards creating bonds between students or bonds between parents and learners. Uh, there are a lot. So what we identified is we need a form of assessment or a tool that might guide people, especially those that are not non-technical, to be able to, uh, you know, to be able to have the right framing of mind when they make a decision of what kind of a tool they should use or even purchase as a next level. So now I would like to pass it on, like now that we understand the problem, I would like to pass it on to my colleague Mrinmoy from the Harvard Graduate School of Education, who's going to speak a little bit more about the previous tool and what is actually that we made to address this problem. So Mrinmoy, take it away.
Thanks a lot once again, Alex. Thank you, Hale, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you, Rachel, for conducting this for us. Let me quickly dive into this evaluation tool that we have designed. both Alex and I have designed. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Hopefully it's visible. Just a thumbs up if you can see my screen. All right. Yeah, so when Rachel came to Harvard last year, we learned about the excellent work that has been done at World Education, particularly around evaluating EdTech tools that are used in the workforce development space for teacher training in education. And this is how it looked like initially. So there were various different strands across which you as a user would be asking yourself questions on the usability, the affordability, effectiveness, accessibility of an EdTech tool to identify whether it really solves your problem or not. And what we did was, given the incredible advancement of AI over the past couple of years, and the incredibly changing landscape, we decided how are different ways in which we could modify this tool. We wanted to find out ways in which this tool could be more accessible for all of our users. And these were 3 ways in which we wanted to make this tool more effective. We wanted to make sure that this evaluation framework is more scaffolded to reduce your cognitive load as a user. We wanted to make sure that there are opportunities for you to compare between different EdTech tools that may or may not be powered by AI, and compare them on a quantitative basis, that's on a broader level, and ask yourself questions that you saw in the previous slide to explore at a deeper level why those aspects, those different dimensions might matter to you. And finally, we also wanted to make sure that this framework is going to help you examine the effectiveness of, AI tools or AI-powered tools in your area of work. So what we did was we broke this workforce development framework down into 2 parts. One was a scoring rubric, and the other is a note-taking and comparison tool. You can type this link on your browser or scan it with the QR code to access this framework. But we broadly kept the same, working on the same strands as before, but we wanted to make it more accessible. So if you're looking at the framework right now, you can see that there are 7 strands on effectiveness, on accessibility, on affordability, on the user experience that EdTech tool might provide you, on the kind of support and communication that you might get from the supplier, on any data privacy security questions that you might have around how is your data being used by that tool, and the longevity of the tool itself. And this scoring rubric basically covers ratings from a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is you don't see that characteristic, maybe you don't see that effective or you don't see it accessible, all the way up to 5, where you see that strand, that dimension being evident uniformly. So let me quickly switch my tab and show you how this really works. Yeah. So this is how it works. This is the rubric in action. This is the scoring section of the rubric as we just went through. And in addition to that, we have the note-taking and comparison tool where you can dive deeper into any EdTech tool or that you're using and ask yourself questions around, more questions around its proven effectiveness, its accessibility, its affordability, and fill your responses in these tabs, and then do a comparative assessment of which tool you might use more than the other. Yeah, and going back to our presentation. All right. And what we also did, and where I'd like Alex to dive once again in, is another additional and equally important section that is now a feature of this framework, which is the AI integration framework. And I'd like Alex to tell us more about how this is going to help us in assessing AI-powered EdTech tools.
Sure. Thank you very much. So the scoring rubric is one part, but we really wanted it to be focused around some of these AI features because they're very novel. We feel that a lot of people have questions. And as I mentioned before, a lot of educators are non-technical. So one of the key challenges was what are the key questions that we must ask? And so the AI framework is essentially organized around it's organized around these 6 dimensions. And I can actually do a short demo for you using this. So we will also share the link in the chat. In essence, so we built this web page. We have the 6 dimensions, and so we are looking at AI capabilities and learning goals. We're looking at dimensions connected to mitigating biases. We're looking at dimensions connecting to ethics and data use. And then we also have dimensions on human oversight, evidence of impact, and equity and inclusion. And I'll just show one, let's say human oversight. So when we actually enter the dimension, we have a short explanation of the dimension. We have a guiding question. And the interesting thing that we did is we tried to formulate questions that you should ask both yourself before making a certain decision or before uh, considering a certain tool. And these questions are very self-reflective towards you personally as a trainer or an educator or to your organization. And then the second type of question, which is in the ask column, these are questions that you should ask towards the EdTech developer or provider. And we feel that more people should be empowered to ask hard questions from some of these companies because, it's only right if you are going to use a certain product or put it into educational context. So just as an example, things that you could ask an EdTech developer is, what are some of the mechanisms that are put in place in terms of ensuring human oversight of some of the age-generated content and decisions? This might mean if you're using a tool like Magic School, for example, are you able to edit or make changes to the output that this AI gives? And then in terms of feedback and improvement process, uh, you know, how does this company capture feedback? What does it do with that feedback? What are the feedback and improvement iteration cycles? How does your feedback as a user feed into their training data set and continuously improve the product? And then on the considerations for yourself is making decisions whether and in what way are you going to ensure that this process of collaborating or creating together with AI is going to be balanced? And what are some of the steps you need to ensure in terms of like reviewing this content and who is going to be doing that in the team? And then in terms of human insight, is how will you incorporate insight and feedback to continuously improve the way that you're working with this tool? And then for each of these, we've also put a short example or a scenario of how this might play out and what are the things that you should be looking for. And so just to preface, this is very early. We intend to continuously improve on this. We're looking for feedback. So all feedback is very, very welcome. And, we would love to hear your thoughts. We will also understanding that some of these questions are connected to other domains of knowledge, like perhaps technical knowledge or policy knowledge or organizational knowledge. We will also try to add multiple supporting resources in the future where you can actually click a resource to find out how you might figure this balance question out.